2 Kings chapter 18. And it came to be in the 3rd year of Hoshea son of Elah, sovereign of Israel, that Hezekiah son of Ahaz, sovereign of Yehudah, began to reign. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Abba, daughter of Zechariah. And he did what was right in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that his father David did. He took away the high places and broke the pillars and cut down the Asherah, and broke in pieces the bronze serpent which Moshe had made for until those days the children of Israel burned incense to it and called it Nehushtan. He put his trust in Yahuwah, Elohim of Israel. And after him was none like him among all the sovereigns of Yehudah, nor who were before him. And he clung to Yahuwah. He did not turn away from following him, but guarded his commands which Yahuwah had commanded Moshe. And Yahuwah was with him. Wherever he went he acted wisely. And he rebelled against the sovereign of Asher and did not serve him. He smote the Philistines as far as Azar and its borders, from watchtower unto the walled city. And it came to be in the 4th year of sovereign Hezekiah, which was the 7th year of Hoshea son of Elah, sovereign of Israel, that Shalmaneser, sovereign of Asher, came up against Shamaron and besieged it. And they captured it at the end of 3 years. And the 6th year of Hezekiah, that is the 9th year of Hoshea, sovereign of Israel, Shamaron was captured. And the sovereign of Asher exiled Israel to Asher and placed them in Halah and Habah, the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes, because they did not obey the voice of Yahuwah their Elohim, but transgressed his covenant, all that Moshe the servant of Yahuwah had commanded, and they did not obey nor do them. And in the 14th year of sovereign Hezekiah, Sanhedrin, sovereign of Asher, came up against all the walled cities of Yehudah and captured them. And Hezekiah, sovereign of Yehudah, sent to the sovereign of Asher at Lachish, saying, I have done wrong. Turn away from me. I shall bear whatever you impose on me. And the sovereign of Asher imposed upon Hezekiah, the sovereign of Yehudah, 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold. And Hezekiah gave him all the silver that was found in the house of Yahuwah and in the treasuries of the sovereign's house. At that time Hezekiah cut off the doors of the hekel of Yahuwah and the doorposts which Hezekiah, sovereign of Yehudah, had overlaid, and gave it to the sovereign of Asher. And the sovereign of Asher sent the Tartan and the Rabsaris and the Rabshakeh from Lachish with a great army against Jerusalem to sovereign Hezekiah. And they went up and came to Jerusalem. And when they had come up, they came and stood by the channel of the upper pool, which was on the highway to the launderer's field. And they called to the sovereign. And Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joab, son of Asaph, the recorder, came out to them. And the Rabshakeh said to them, Please say to Hezekiah, thus said the great sovereign, the sovereign of Asher, What is this trust in which you have trusted? You have spoken of having counsel and strength for battle, but they are only words of the lips. And in whom do you trust, that you rebelled against me? Now look, you have put your trust in the staff of this crushed reed, Mizraim, on which if a man leans, it shall go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, sovereign of Mizraim, to all who trust in him. But when you say to me, We trust in Yahuwah our Elohim, is it not he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah has taken away, and said to Yehudah and bow yourselves before this altar in Jerusalem? And now, I urge you, give a pledge to my master, the sovereign of Ashur. Then I give you 2,000 horses, if you are able to put riders on them. And how do you turn back the face of one commander of the least of my master's servants and trust in Mizraim for chariots and horsemen? Have I now come up without Yahuwah against this place to destroy it? Yahuwah said to me, go up against this land, and you shall destroy it. Then said MELAKIM, son of Hilkiah, and Shebna, and Joab, to the Rabshakeh, please speak to your servants in Aramaic, for we understand it, and do not speak to us in the language of Yehuda in the ears of the people on the wall. And the Rabshakeh said to them, has my master sent me to your master and to you to speak these words, and not to the men sitting on the wall to eat their own dung and drink their own urine with you? And the Rabshakeh stood and called out with a loud voice in the language of Yehuda, and spoke and said, hear the word of the great sovereign, the sovereign of Ashur. Thus said the sovereign, do not let Hezekiah deceive you, for he is unable to deliver you out of his hand. And do not let Hezekiah make you trust in Yahuwah, saying, Yahuwah shall certainly deliver us, and this city is not given into the hand of the sovereign of Ashur. Do not listen to Hezekiah, but thus said the sovereign of Ashur, make peace with me by a present, and come out to me, and let each of you eat from his own vine, and each from his own fig tree, and each of you drink the waters of his own cistern, until I come. Then I shall take you away to a land like your own land, a land of grain and new wine, a land of bread and vineyards, a land of olive trees and honey, and live and not die. But do not listen to Hezekiah when he misleads you, saying, Yahuwah shall deliver us. Has any of the mighty ones of the nations at all delivered its land from the hand of the sovereign of Ashur? Where are the mighty ones of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the mighty ones of Sepharwaim and Hena and Awa? Did they deliver Shemaron from my hand? Who among all the mighty ones of the lands have delivered their land out of my hand, that Yahuwah should deliver Jerusalem from my hand? But the people were silent and did not answer him a word, for the command of the sovereign was, do not answer him. And MELAKIM, son of Hilkiah, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joab, son of Asaph, the recorder, came to Hezekiah with their garments torn, and they reported to him the words of the Rabshakeh. 2 Kings chapter 19. And it came to be, when sovereign Hezekiah heard it, that he tore his garments and covered himself with sackcloth, and went into the house of Yahuwah, and sent Eliakim, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and the elders of the priests, covering themselves with sackcloth, to Yeshayahu the prophet, son of Amoz. And they said to him, thus said Hezekiah, this day is a day of distress and rebuke and scorn, for the children have come to birth, but there is no power to bring forth. It could be that Yahuwah, your Elohim, does hear all the words of the Rabshakeh, whom his master, the sovereign of Ashur, has sent to reproach the living Elohim, and shall rebuke the words which Yahuwah, your Elohim, has heard. Therefore lift up your prayer for the remnant that is left. And the servants of sovereign Hezekiah came to Yeshayahu, and Yeshayahu said to them, say this to your master, thus said Yahuwah, do not be afraid of the words which you have heard, with which the servants of the sovereign of Ashur have reviled me. See, I am putting a spirit upon him, and he shall hear a report and return to his own land, and I shall cause him to fall by the sword in his land. And the Rabshakeh returned and found the sovereign of Asher fighting against Libnah, for he had heard that he had left Lachish. And when the sovereign heard concerning Tirhakah, sovereign of Cush, see, he has come out to fight against you. He again sent messengers to Hezekiah, saying, Speak to Hezekiah, sovereign of Yehudah, saying, Do not let your Elohim in whom you trust deceive you, saying, Jerusalem is not given into the hand of the sovereign of Asher. See, you have heard what the sovereigns of Asher have done to all lands by putting them under the ban. And are you going to be delivered? Have the mighty ones of the nations delivered those whom my fathers have destroyed, Gozan and Haran and Ratzeph, and the sons of Eden who were in Telassar? Where is the sovereign of Hamath, and the sovereign of Arpad, and the sovereign of the city of Sepharwaim, Hena and Ewa? And Hezekiah received the letters from the hand of the messengers, and read them, and went up to the house of Yahuwah. And Hezekiah spread it before Yahuwah. And Hezekiah prayed before Yahuwah and said, O Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, the one who dwells between the cherubim, you are Elohim, you alone of all the reigns of the earth. You have made the heavens and earth. Incline your ear, O Yahuwah, and hear. Open your eyes, O Yahuwah, and see. And hear the words of Sanherib, which he has sent to reproach the living Elohim. Truly, Yahuwah, the sovereigns of Asher have laid waste the nations and their lands, and have put their mighty ones into the fire. For they were not mighty ones, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone, and destroyed them. And now, O Yahuwah, our Elohim, I pray, save us from his hand, so that all the reigns of the earth know that you are Yahuwah Elohim, you alone. Then Yeshayahu, son of Amoz, sent to Hezekiah, saying, Thus said Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, I have heard that which you have prayed to me against Sanherib, sovereign of Asher. This is the word which Yahuwah has spoken concerning him. The maiden, the daughter of Zion, has despised you, mocked you. The daughter of Jerusalem has shaken her head behind you. Whom have you reproached and reviled? Against whom have you raised a voice, and lifted up your eyes on high against the set apart one of Israel? By the hand of your messengers you have reproached Yahuwah, and said, With my many chariots I have come up to the height of the mountains, to the sides of Lebanon, and I cut down its tall cedars, its choice cypress trees, and I enter its remotest parts, its thickest forest. I have dug and drunk strange water, and with the soles of my feet I dry up all the streams of defense. Have you not heard long ago? I made it from days of old. I formed it. Now I have brought it to be that you should make walled cities ruinous heaps. And their inhabitants were powerless. They were overthrown and put to shame. They were as the grass of the field, and the green plants as the grass on the housetops, and withered before it came up. But I know your sitting down, and your going out, and your coming in, and your rage against me. Because your rage against me and your pride have come up to my ears, I shall put my hook in your nose and my bridle in your lips, and I shall turn you back by the way which you came. And this is the sign for you. This year you eat what grows of itself, and in the second year what springs from that, and in the third year sow and reap and plant vineyards and eat their fruit. And the remnant who have escaped of the house of Yehudah shall again take root downward and bear fruit upward. For out of Jerusalem comes forth a remnant, and those who escape from Mount Zion, the order of Yahuwah does this. Therefore, Thus said Yahuwah concerning the sovereign of Asher, he does not come into this city, nor does he shoot an arrow there, nor does he come before it with shield, nor does he build a siege mound against it. By the way that he came, by the same he turns back, and he does not come into this city, declares Yahuwah. And I shall defend this city, to save it for my own sake, and for the sake of David my servant. And it came to be in that night that the messenger of Yahuwah went out and smote in the camp of Asher 185,000. And they rose up early in the morning and saw all of them dead bodies. And Sanherib, sovereign of Asher, broke camp and went away and turned back and remained in Nineveh. And it came to be as he was bowing himself in the house of Nezarach, his mighty one, that his sons Adramelech and Sharezer smote him with the sword, and they escaped into the land of Ararat. And his son Esarhaddon reigned in his place. 2 Kings chapter 20. In those days Hezekiah was sick unto death. And Yeshayahu the prophet, son of Amoz, went to him and said to him, Thus said Yahuwah, set your house in order, for you are going to die and not live. And he turned his face toward the wall and prayed to Yahuwah, saying, I pray to you, O Yahuwah, remember how I have walked before you in truth and with a perfect heart, and have done what was good in your eyes. And Hezekiah wept bitterly. And it came to be before Yeshayahu had gone out into the middle court that the word of Yahuwah came to him, saying, Return and say to Hezekiah, the leader of my people, Thus said Yahuwah, the Elohim of David your father, I have heard your prayer, I have seen your tears. See, I am going to heal you. On the third day go up to the house of Yahuwah, and I shall add to your days 15 years, and deliver you and this city from the hand of the sovereign of Asher, and shall defend this city for my own sake, and for the sake of David my servant. And Yeshayahu said, Take a cake of figs, and they took and laid it on the boil, and he recovered. And Hezekiah said to Yeshayahu, What is the sign that Yahuwah does heal me, and that I shall go up to the house of Yahuwah the third day? And Yeshayahu said, This is the sign for you from Yahuwah, that Yahuwah does the word which he has spoken. Shall the shadow go forward 10 degrees, or go backward 10 degrees? And Hezekiah said, It would be easy for the shadow to go down 10 degrees. No, but let the shadow go backward 10 degrees. And Yeshayahu the prophet cried out to Yahuwah, and he brought the shadow 10 degrees backward, by which it had gone down on the sundial of Ahaz. At that time Baladan, son of Baladan, sovereign of Babel, sent letters and a present to Hezekiah, for he heard that Hezekiah had been sick. And Hezekiah listened to them and showed them all his treasure house, the silver and the gold and the spices and the precious ointment and all his armory, and all that was found among his treasures. There was not an object in his house or in all his rule that Hezekiah did not follow them. And Yeshayahu the prophet came to sovereign Hezekiah and said to him, What did these men say, and from where did they come to you? And Hezekiah said, They came from a distant land, from Babel. And he said, What have they seen in your house? And Hezekiah answered, They saw all that is in my house. There is not an object among my treasures that I did not show them. And Yeshayahu said to Hezekiah, Hear the word of Yahuwah. See, the days are coming, when all that is in your house, and what your fathers have treasured up until this day, shall be brought to Babel. No object is to be left, said Yahuwah. And they are going to take away some of your sons who are to be born to you, whom you bring forth, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the sovereign of Babel. And Hezekiah said to Yeshayahu, the word of Yahuwah which you have spoken is good. And he said, is it not so, if peace and truth are to be in my days? And the rest of the acts of Hezekiah and all his might, and how he made a pool and a channel and brought water into the city, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yehudah? So Hezekiah slept with his fathers, and Manasseh his son reigned in his place. 2 Kings chapter 21. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 55 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hephzibah. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to the abominations of the Gentiles whom Yahuwah dispossessed before the children of Israel. For he turned and built the high places which Hezekiah his father had destroyed, and raised up altars for Baal, and made an Asherah, as Ahab, servant of Israel, had done. And he bowed himself to all the host of the heavens, and served them. And he built altars in the house of Yahuwah, of which Yahuwah had said, in Jerusalem I put my name. And he built altars for all the host of the heavens in the 2 courtyards of the house of Yahuwah. And he made his son pass through the fire, and practiced magic, and used divination, and consulted spiritists and mediums. He did much evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, to provoke him. And he placed a carved image of Asherah that he had made in the house of which Yahuwah had said to David and to Shalomar his son, in this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, I put my name forever. And no more shall I cause the feet of Israel to move from the soil which I gave their fathers, only if they guard to do according to all that I have commanded them, and according to all the Torah that my servant Moshe commanded them. But they did not obey, and Manasseh led them astray to do more evil than the Gentiles whom Yahuwah had destroyed before the children of Israel. And Yahuwah spoke by his servants the prophets, saying, because Manasseh, sovereign of Yehudah, has done these abominations, having done more evil than all the Amorites who were before him, and also made Yehudah sin with his idols. Therefore thus said Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, see, I am bringing such evil upon Jerusalem and Yehudah that both ears of those who hear of it shall tingle. And I shall stretch over Jerusalem the measuring line of Shamaron and the plummet of the house of Ahab, and shall wipe Jerusalem as one wipes a dish, wiping it and turning it upside down. And I shall forsake the remnant of my inheritance, and give them into the hand of their enemies. And they shall be for a prey and for a plunder to all their enemies, because they have done evil in my eyes, and have provoked me since the day their fathers came out of Mizraim, even to this day. And also Manasseh shed very much innocent blood, until he had filled Jerusalem from one end to another, besides his sin with which he made Yehudah sin in doing evil in the eyes of Yahuwah. And the rest of the acts of Manasseh, and all that he did, and the sin that he committed, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yehudah? So Manasseh slept with his fathers, and was buried in the garden of his own house, in the garden of Uzza. And his son Ammon reigned in his place. Ammon was 22 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 2 years in Jerusalem. And the name of his mother was Meshullemeth, the daughter of Harutz of Yotabah. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, as his father Manasseh had done. and walked in all the ways that his father had walked, and served the idols that his father had served, and bowed himself to them, and forsook Yahuwah Elohim of his fathers, and did not walk in the way of Yahuwah. And the servants of Ammon conspired against him, and killed the sovereign in his own house. But the people of the land smote all those who had conspired against sovereign Ammon. And the people of the land set up his son Yoshayahu to reign in his place. And the rest of the acts of Ammon which he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yehudah? And he was buried in his tomb in the garden of Uzza, and his son Yoshayahu reigned in his place. Thank you, Father. 2 Kings chapter 22. Yoshayahu was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 31 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Yedidah, the daughter of Adaiah of Baskat. And he did what was right in the eyes of Yahuwah, and walked in all the ways of his father David, and did not turn aside right or left. And it came to be in the 18th year of sovereignty, Yoshayahu, that the sovereign sent Shaphan, the scribe, son of Atsaliahu, son of Meshulam, to the house of Yahuwah, saying, Go up to Hilkiyahu, the high priest, and let him weigh the silver which has been brought into the house of Yahuwah, which the doorkeepers have gathered from the people, and let them give it into the hand of those doing the work, who are the overseers in the house of Yahuwah. And let them give it to those who are in the house of Yahuwah, doing the work to repair the damages of the house, to carpenters and to builders and to stone masons, and to buy timber and huge stone to repair the house. However, let not the silver given into their hand be reckoned with them, for they are acting trustworthily. And Hilkiyahu the high priest said to Shaphan the scribe, I have found the book of the Torah in the house of Yahuwah. And Hilkiah gave the book to Shaphan, and he read it. And Shaphan the scribe came to the sovereign, and brought word to the sovereign again, saying, Your servants have gathered the silver that was found in the house, and have given it into the hand of those who do the work, who oversee the house of Yahuwah. And Shaphan the scribe informed the sovereign, saying, Hilkiah the priest has given me a book. And Shaphan read it before the sovereign. And it came to be, when the sovereign heard the words of the book of the Torah, that he tore his garments. And the sovereign commanded Hilkiah the priest, and Ahikam son of Shaphan, and Akbar son of Micaiah, and Shaphan the scribe, and Ashiah a servant of the sovereign, saying, Go inquire of Yahuwah for me, for the people, and for all Yehudah, concerning the words of this book that has been found. For great is the wrath of Yahuwah that is kindled against us, because our fathers have not obeyed the words of this book, to do according to all that is written concerning us. Then Hilkiah the priest, and Ahikam, and Akbar, and Shaphan, and Asaiah went to Huldah the prophetess, the wife of Shallum, son of Tequah, son of Harhas, keeper of the wardrobe. Now she was dwelling in Jerusalem in the 2nd quarter. And they spoke with her, and she said to them, Thus said Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, Say to the man who sent you to me, Thus said Yahuwah, See, I am bringing evil on this place and on its inhabitants, all the words of the book which the sovereign of Yehudah has read, because they have forsaken me, and burned incense to other mighty ones, to provoke me with all the works of their hands. And so my wrath shall be kindled against this place, and not be quenched. And to the sovereign of Yehudah, who sent you to inquire of Yahuwah, say this to him, Thus said Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, As for the words which you have heard, because your heart was tender, and you humbled yourself before Yahuwah, when you heard what I spoke against this place and against its inhabitants, that they would become a ruin and a curse, and did tore your garments and wept before me, I also have heard, declares Yahuwah. Therefore, see, I am gathering you to your fathers, and you shall be gathered to your grave in peace. so that your eyes do not see all the evil I am bringing on this place. And they brought word. 2 Kings chapter 23. And the sovereign sent, and they gathered all the elders of Yehudah and Jerusalem to him. And the sovereign went up to the house of Yahuwah with all the men of Yehudah and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem with him, and the priests and the prophets and all the people, both small and great. And he read in their hearing all the words of the book of the covenant which had been found in the house of Yahuwah. And the sovereign stood by the column and made a covenant before Yahuwah to follow Yahuwah and to guard his commands and his witnesses and his laws with all his heart and all his being, to establish the words of this covenant that were written in this book. And all the people stood to the covenant. Then the sovereign commanded Hilkiah the high priest, and the priests of the second order, and the doorkeepers, to bring out of the hekel of Yahuwah all the objects that were made for Baal and for Asherah, and for all the hosts of the heavens. And he burned them outside Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron, and took their ashes to Bethel. And he put down the black-robed priests whom the sovereigns of Yehudah had appointed to burn incense on the high places in the cities of Yehudah and in the places all around Jerusalem, and those who burn incense to Baal, to the sun, and to the moon, and to the constellations, and to all the hosts of the heavens. And he brought out the Asheroth from the house of Yahuwah to the water Kidron outside Jerusalem, and burned it at the water Kidron, and ground it to ashes, and threw its ashes on the graves of the sons of the people. And he broke down the houses of the male cult prostitutes that were in the house of Yahuwah, where the women wove tapestries for the Asherah. And he brought all the priests from the cities of Yehudah, and defiled the high places where the priests had burned incense, from Gibeah to Beersheba, and broke down the high places at the gates which were at the entrance of the gate of Yahushua, the governor of the city, which were to the left of the city gate. However, the priests of the high places did not come up to the altar of Yahuwah in Jerusalem, but they ate unleavened bread among their brothers. And he defiled Tophath, which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom, so that no man could make his son or his daughter pass through the fire to Moloch. And he did away with the horses that the sovereigns of Yehudah had given to the sun at the entrance to the house of Yahuwah, by the room of Nathan-Melech, the eunuch that were in the court. And he burned the chariots of the sun with fire. And the altars that were on the roof of the upper room of Ahaz, which the sovereigns of Yehudah had made, and the altars which Manasseh had made in the two courtyards of the house of Yahuwah, the sovereign broke down and rushed from there and threw their dust into the water Kidron. And the sovereign defiled the high places that were before Jerusalem, which were on the right hand of the mountain of destruction, which Shalimah, sovereign of Israel, built for Ashtaroth, the abomination of the Sidonians, and for Chemosh, the abomination of the Moabites, and for Milcom, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And he broke in pieces the pillars, and cut down the Asherim, and filled their places with the bones of men. And also the altar that was at Beth-el, and the high place which Jeroboam son of Nebat made, by which he made Israel sin, both that altar and the high place he broke down. And he burned the high place, and ground it to dust, and burned the Asheroth. Then Yoshayahu turned and saw the tombs that were there on the mountain. And he sent and took the bones out of the tombs, and burned them on the altar, and defiled it according to the word of Yahuwah, which the man of Elohim proclaimed, who proclaimed these words. And he said, What tombstone is this that I see? And the men of the city said to him, It is the tomb of the man of Elohim who came from Yehudah, and proclaimed these matters which you have done against the altar of Bethel. And he said, Let him alone, let no one move his bones. So they left his bones alone with the bones of the prophet who came from Shomron. And Yoshayahu also took away all the houses of the high places that were in the cities of Shomron, which the sovereigns of Israel had made to provoke. And he did to them according to all the deeds he did in Bethel. And he slaughtered all the priests of the high places who were there on the altars, and burned men's bones on them, and went back to Jerusalem. And the sovereign commanded all the people, saying, Prepare the Passover to Yahuwah your Elohim, as it is written in this book of the covenant. For such a Passover had not been prepared since the days of the rulers who ruled Israel, nor in all the days of the sovereigns of Israel and the sovereigns of Yehudah. But in the 18th year of sovereign Yoshayahu, this Passover was prepared before Yahuwah in Jerusalem. And also Yoshayahu put away those who consulted mediums and spiritists, and the household mighty ones and idols, and all the abominations that were seen in the land of Yehudah and in Jerusalem, in order to establish the words of the Torah, which were written in the book that Hilkiyahu the priest found in the house of Yahuwah. And before him there was no sovereign like him, who turned back to Yahuwah with all his heart, and with all his being, and with all his might, according to all the Torah of Moshe. And after him none rose up like him. However, Yahuwah did not turn from the fierceness of his great wrath, with which his wrath burned against Yehudah, because of all the provocations with which Manasseh had provoked him. And Yehudah said, Even Yehudah I shall remove from my presence, as I have removed Israel. And I shall reject this city Jerusalem, which I have chosen, and the house of which I said, My name is there. And the rest of the acts of Yoshayahu, and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yehudah? In his days Pharaoh Necho, sovereign of Mizraim, went up against the sovereign of Ashur to the river Euphrates. And sovereign Yoshayahu went out to him, and he killed him at Megiddo when he saw him. And his servants conveyed his body in a chariot from Megiddo, and brought him to Jerusalem, and buried him in his own tomb. And the people of the land took Jehoahaz, son of Yoshayahu, and anointed him, and set him up to reign in his father's place. Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that his fathers did. And Pharaoh Necho imprisoned him at Riblah in the land of Hamath, to keep him from reigning in Jerusalem. And he imposed on the land a fine of 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold. And Pharaoh Necho set up MELAKIM, son of Yoshayahu, to reign in place of his father Yoshayahu, and changed his name to Jehoiakim. And Pharaoh took Jehoahaz and went to Mizraim, and he died there. And Jehoiakim gave the silver and gold to Pharaoh. Only he taxed the land to give silver according to the command of Pharaoh. He exacted the silver and gold from the people of the land, from every one according to his assessment, to give it to Pharaoh Necho. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Zebadah, the daughter of Padaiah of Rumah. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that his fathers did. 2 Kings chapter 24. In his days Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, came up, and Jehoiakim became his servant for 3 years, and he turned and rebelled against him. And Yahuwah sent against him raiding bands of Chaldeans, and raiding bands of Aram, and raiding bands of Moab, and raiding bands of the children of Ammon, and he sent them against Yehudah to destroy it, according to the word of Yahuwah, which he had spoken by his servants the prophets. Only at the command of Yahuwah this came upon Yehudah, to remove them from his presence, because of the sins of Manasseh, according to all that he did, and also because of the innocent blood that he shed. For he filled Jerusalem with innocent blood, which Yahuwah would not forgive. And the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim, and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Yehudah? So Jehoiakim slept with his fathers, and Jehoiakim his son reigned in his place. And the sovereign of Mizraim did not come out of his land again, for the sovereign of Babel had taken all that belonged to the sovereign of Mizraim, from the wadi of Mizraim to the river Euphrates. Jehoiakim was 18 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. And his mother's name was Nehushta, the daughter of Elnathan of Jerusalem. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that his father did. At that time the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, came up against Jerusalem, and the city was besieged. And Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, came against the city as his servants were besieging it. And Jehoiakim, sovereign of Yehudah, and his mother, and his servants, and his heads, and his eunuchs went out to the sovereign of Babel. And the sovereign of Babel, in the 8th year of his reign, took him prisoner. And he took from there all the treasures of the house of Yahuwah, and the treasures of the sovereign's house, and he cut in pieces all the objects of gold which Shallum, sovereign of Israel, had made in the hekel of Yahuwah, as Yahuwah had said. And he exiled all Jerusalem, and all the officers, and all the mighty brave men, 10,000 exiles, and all the craftsmen and smiths. None remained except the poorest people of the land. And he exiled Jehoiakim to Babel, and the sovereign's mother, and the sovereign's wives, and his eunuchs, and the leading men of the land he exiled from Jerusalem to Babel. And all the mighty brave men, 7,000, and craftsmen and smiths, 1,000, all who were strong and fit for battle. These the sovereign of Babel brought to Babel into exile. And the sovereign of Babel set up Mattaniah, Jehoiakim's uncle, to reign in his place, and changed his name to Sidkiyahu. Sidkiyahu was 21 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah, according to all that Jehoiakim did. For this took place in Jerusalem and Yehudah because of the displeasure of Yahuwah, until he had cast them out from his presence. And Sidkiyahu rebelled against the sovereign of Babel. 2 Kings chapter 25. And it came to be in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, on the 10th of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, and all his army came against Jerusalem and encamped against it. And they built a siege wall against it all around. And the city was besieged until the 11th year of sovereign Sidkiyahu. By the 9th of the month, the scarcity of food had become so severe in the city that there was no food for the people of the land. Then the city wall was breached, and all the men of battle fled at night by way of the gate between two walls, which was by the sovereign's garden, even though the Chaldeans were still encamped all around against the city. And the sovereign went by way of the desert plain. And the army of the Chaldeans pursued the sovereign, and overtook him in the desert plains of Jericho. And all his army was scattered from him. And they seized the sovereign, and brought him up to the sovereign of Babel at Riblah. And they pronounced sentence on him. And they slaughtered the sons of Sidkiyahu before his eyes, and put out the eyes of Sidkiyahu, and bound him with bronze shackles, and took him to Babel. And in the 5th month, on the 7th of the month, which was the 19th year of sovereign Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, Nebuzaradan, the chief of the guard, a servant of the sovereign of Babel, came to Jerusalem. And he burned the house of Yahuwah and the house of the sovereign, and all the houses of Jerusalem, even every great house he burned with fire. And all the army of the Chaldeans who were with the chief of the guard broke down the walls of Jerusalem all around. And Nebuzaradan, the chief of the guard, took into exile the rest of the people who were left in the city, and the deserters who deserted to the sovereign of Babel with the rest of the multitude. But the chief of the guard left some of the poor of the land as vine dressers and farmers. And the bronze columns that were in the house of Yahuwah, and the stands and the bronze seat that were in the house of Yahuwah, the Chaldeans broke in pieces and took their bronze away to Babel. And they took the pots and the shovels and the snuffers and the ladles and all the bronze utensils the priests used in the service. And the chief of the guard took the fire holders and the basins, which were of solid gold and solid silver. The bronze of all these utensils was beyond measure. The 2 columns, the 1 sea, and the stands which Shalomo had made for the house of Yahuwah. The height of 1 column was 18 cubits, and the capital on it was of bronze. And the height of the capital was 3 cubits, and the network and pomegranates all around the capital were all of bronze. And the 2nd column was the same with a network. And the chief of the guard took Sariah, the chief priest, and Zephyr, Yahu, the 2nd priest, and the 3 doorkeepers. And out of the city he took a certain eunuch, who was appointed over the men of battle, and 5 men of those who saw the sovereign's face, who were found in the city, and the chief scribe of the army, who mustered the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land who were found in the city. And Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, took them and made them go to the sovereign of Babel at Riblah. And the sovereign of Babel smote them and put them to death at Riblah in the land of Hamath. So exiled Yehudah from its own land. And he appointed Gedaliah, son of Abican, son of Shaphan, over the people who were left in the land of Yehudah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, had left. And all the commanders of the armies, they and their men, heard that the sovereign of Babel had appointed Gedaliah, and they came to Gedaliah at Mizpah, even Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, and Johanan, son of Kareah, and Sariah, son of Tanhumeth, the Netophenite, and Yaazaniah, the son of a Maacatite, they and their men. And Gedaliah swore to them and their men, and said to them, Do not be afraid of the servants of the Chaldeans. Dwell in the land and serve the sovereign of Babel, and let it be well with you. And in the 7th month it came to be that Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, son of Elishama, of the seed of the rain, came with 10 men and smote Gedaliah, that he died, and the Yahudim and the Chaldeans who were with him at Mizpah. And all the people rose up, small and great, and the commanders of the armies, and went to Mizraim, for they were afraid of the Chaldeans. And it came to be in the 37th year of the exile of Jehoiakim, sovereign of Yehudah, in the 12th month, on the 27th of the month, that Ewil-Merodach, sovereign of Babel, in the year that he began to reign, released Jehoiakim, sovereign of Yehudah, from prison, and spoke kindly to him, and set his throne above the throne of the sovereigns who were with him in Babel, and changed his prison garments, and he ate bread continually before the sovereign all the days of his life. And as his allowance, a continual allowance was given to him from the sovereign, a quota for each day, all the days of his life.